Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather, and on this channel we like to walk a very fine line between a shopping addicted makeup monster and a responsible adult with a makeup hobby. I really enjoy eyeshadow singles, duochromes, multichromes, palette, blush, highlight, lip gloss, basically everything except pressed glitter, and today we're going to be going over some of my Sephora VIB sale recommendations. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick with me, we're getting into it right now. So the first thing that you might notice is that the setup here looks a little bit different. That's because we moved, and I'm so happy to finally have everything set up and be recording again. If you can hear any footsteps or anything, that's people that live above us, and apparently it's frowned upon to kill them. So if their footsteps are in the audio, that's just what it is. As far as the VIB sale event, there obviously is different dates and different percentages based on your level of participation. So if you are an insider, which is the lowest tier, which is anybody can be an insider as long as you sign up for an account, you will shop from the 11th to the 15th and you get 10% off. If you're VIB, you can shop from the 9th to the 15th and get 15% off. And if you're Rouge, you can shop from the 5th to the 15th and get 20% off. I think I'm a VIB, at this point, so I will be shopping from the 9th to the 15th. Now, also included in the sale is 30% off the Sephora collection products. So if you are interested in picking up any Sephora Pro Brushes or any of their Sephora branded makeup, that'll be 30% off plus an additional 10, 15, or 20% off depending on which tier you fall into. So that's one thing to remember. So I personally have my eye on some of the Sephora Pro Brushes. There is a Sephora face palette that I want to pick up. I'll tell you a little bit about what I would pick out from the sale, or what I would recommend to you guys to pick out from the sale. So the first thing would be some of the Sephora Pro Brushes. I have the 55, the 56, and 57. That's the powder brush, the foundation brush, and concealer brush. I do think these are really nice quality. They clean really well. They're very, very soft. And I feel like this one is really great for getting a good amount of powder onto the face, but not so big that you're kind of like going over your eyes and everything every time you put a little powder on. You could do under eye powder if you wanted with this one. The foundation brush and concealer brush are definitely a little bit denser, so I feel like they get a good amount of concealer to spread between, like under your eyes and everything, so I think those are really nice brushes. As far as primers, I didn't have any primers that stuck out to me so much that I wanted to recommend them in this particular video, so I'll jump straight into foundations. There's two foundations that I would recommend. One is the Too Faced Born This Way. I wear the shade Seashell, if that's helpful for you. And then the other is the Tarte Multitasking Foundcealer foundation, which looks like this, and you kind of like twist this part and it pops up. Then you can pump everything out and then twist it back down. So it's kind of a nice one for travel if you want to make sure everything is like secure in your bag. I wear 16B Fair Light Beige. As far as concealer, I really like the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I have the shade Marshmallow here, which I think works really nicely. But I do like how evenly this spreads out. I feel like it's a nice medium buildable coverage concealer. It doesn't crease on me, so definitely a good choice there. Let's continue with face products. As far as bronzer, I think the only bronzer I would recommend right now is the Tower 28 Cream Bronzer. This is the Bronzino bronzer in West Coast. I also have tried the Charlotte Tilbury Bronze and Glow Little Duo Mini, but I feel like that one's a little bit too light for me. So I would definitely recommend this one. I think it's got a really nice sheen on it. It applies so easily with a sponge, so I really like that. And then as far as blushes go, I have a couple picks here. First is the Tower 28 Cream Blushes. This is the Beach Please Power Hour Blush. And then I have this Milk Makeup Mini in WERK, W-E-R-K, and it's like just this kind of like rosewoody pink kind of shade. It looks really pretty on the cheeks. And I do really like, this is actually something my husband got for me. This is the Jouer Blush Bouquet Duo, and it's the mini, so a little bit more affordable and a fun way to try out the Jouer blushes. And this is the Rose Gold Mini. I really like this shade, more so than this one, but both are nice. This one I think gives like a little deeper rosewood type look to the cheeks. It's actually what I'm wearing today. So I really like that one. Let's talk powder. So the only powder that I have to recommend is actually the Dior Powder No Powder. I've only tried this a couple of times, but I do think it's really nice. It smooths out a lot of flaws and imperfections. It's $40 though, which is really expensive. So if you're going to get it, I would get it when you have a discount. So I would not want to pay full price for this. And I would check it when you get it to make sure that it doesn't do this. And if it does, call Sephora. They'll get you squared away. But yeah, so just something to bear in mind with this is very fragile, so I'm not sure it would be great for travel, but I do think it's a nice finishing powder. Alright, we can talk a little bit of perfume, some lip products, and then we'll dive into eyeshadow. So for perfume, I actually have a lot of different things that I've picked up at Sephora that I really like. I do not think this is in stock anymore, but if it is, I would pick it up. It's the KVD Saint perfume. I think they're discontinuing it after they get rid of their existing stock because I don't think they have the rights to like continue this one now that they've rebranded, but I do think this one has a really nice scent to it. I tend to like gourmand, slightly floral, kind of spicy vanilla-y scents and sweet scents. I don't go for those really clean like oceanic type scents. I don't like patchouli, so if those are scents that you're interested in, you might gravitate towards some of these as well. So KVD scent is one choice. Atelier Cologne has a lot of really great scents. The ones that I think I like the best are Pacific Lime, which comes in this like pink bottle, and the Vanilla Incense. I also have the Clementine California, which is really nice, and the Orange Sanguine is very nice as well. I did pick up at the last sale the Lemon Island scent, which I do think is nice, but it kind of has like a sugary floor cleaner vibe to it. It's hard to describe, but I think because so many like cleaning products have this like lemony scent to it, you kind of are taken there with like your olfactory appreciation of this scent. So I'm not sure. I like it, but I don't know that I would repurchase it, but I will use up what I have. But just some recommendations there. From KLE, I just picked up the duo that they had in the White Flower 57 and the Amber 23, which is invite only. I do really like the invite only scent. I think it smells so pretty. It's got this like amber, musk, jasmine. It's just this really like clean floral that I really appreciate. So I would definitely recommend picking that up, but I would recommend picking up the trial size. This is $27 I think originally, and the smallest like next bottle up I think is $75. So I would definitely pick up a small like travel size first to see if you like it before you buy something bigger. And then from Nest, I really like the Wild Poppy Eau de Parfum. This one just has like a really bright, clean floral scent to it. It's such a nice one. I think of it more for spring than for winter, because winter I definitely dive more into those like gourmand, vanilla, warm kind of scents. This one definitely has like a cleaner spring scent, but I do think it's really pretty and definitely a good one to consider. So the last one that I would recommend is the Killian Love Don't Be Shy, which I have in a tester size bottle here. My husband's staring at me while I'm filming. It's really weird. I do really like the smell of this one. It definitely has that like diamond tappy kind of smell when you first smell it or spray it, but then it does really kind of soften and you get more of that like marshmallowy vibe. The marshmallow part of this really sells me. If you like this scent, but you're not willing to pay like $50-something for a teeny tiny bottle or like $300 for a big bottle, the other one you could consider checking out would be the YSL Black Opium Neon, which I think gives a similar vibe. It's not a scent dupe, but it definitely gives a similar vibe. It's cheaper, but I don't think they have it at Sephora. I think you'd have to check out Ulta for that one. So those are my fragrance recommendations. Let's jump into lips, and then we'll finish off with eyeshadow, which is probably the most fun. So in terms of lip products, I did just recently pick up this little lip set from Sephora, and it came with a Huda Beauty Silk Balm in the shade Blush. It came with a Fenty Beauty Cream Gloss Balm in Fenty Glow, a little Nars Mini Laguna Lip Balm, the Milk, this is the Electric Glossy Lip, this is the one with the Sichuan peppercorns in it, And then it has a Pat McGrath gloss in the shade Flesh 6. I had really been wanting to try the Nars, the Huda, and the Fenty, so I felt like this was a... Shut up! I'm so done with you. Don't look at me. So I've really been wanting to try these 3. So the fact that they came in a bundle for basically the cost of one of them was what made it worth it to me. So I did pick this up. I think it was $35 originally. But I picked it up during friends and family sale, so I did get 20% off for it. And I really like it. I know I like this milk because I have another shade of it already, so I was happy to get another one of those. So overall, I thought this was a really great bundle. If you're interested in picking up something like this, or you think it might be a good gift idea for somebody, I think this is a really great set compared to the other sets that they have. Then the other 2 lip products that I would recommend would be the Lawless Forget the Filler Gloss. I have the colored one on today. This is called Velvet. And then they do have a clear shade, gosh, what are you called? Rosy Outlook, I guess. I do really like both of these. I've definitely used this one a lot more because I just picked this one up during the friends and family sale. So I think this is a really great formula. If you're looking for something that gives you that plumping, that fullness without giving you the like tingly, stingy, burning type sensation like you'd get out of the milk one, then definitely pick up one of these because they are really, really nice. And then as far as like lip care, I would really recommend the Too Faced Hangover Pillow Balm. This is the banana one, which they call Banana Kiss. It's a really nice formula. It does have sort of a pepperminty type sensation to it, so it does give a little tingling, but it's not a burning type sensation in any respect. It has a little bit of shimmer in it, which for me, I'm going to bed, I don't really care, but if that's something that bothers you, you may not like it. I don't think the shimmer is very noticeable though. I think I used it a couple times before I noticed the shimmer was even there. But I think it's a really nice, like, smooth, kind of creamy formula. Definitely very hydrating, moisturizing. It reminds me a lot of the Huda Beauty balm, so if you like either one of these, you'll probably like the other one as well. Alright. Speaking of Huda, I pulled actually a lot of her palettes because there are so many of her palettes that I really like. So we'll talk through those quickly. Most recently, I picked up the Huda Beauty Wild Jaguar palette. And if you're somebody who likes kind of those cool toned, neutral, leaning, smoky purple type vibes, you would probably really like this. I think this shade is so unique in this palette. It's this really dark, like gunmetal-y silver type shade that I don't think I've seen before in other palettes. I do really like this kind of purple duochrome here in the center. These mattes work so nicely together to make a really cohesive base that you can then top these shimmers on. I love how she plays with light and texture in her palettes, so that's been something that's been really fun for this one. And I do like the packaging with this kind of, like, I don't know if I'm going to catch it here because I think my lights might be in the way, but you can kind of catch this like pattern change that it has when you tilt the light around, which I think is pretty cool. Then I also have 2 of her Nude Obsessions palettes. These were gifts from my husband as well. The Nude Rich I think is so pretty when you want to do that like kind of smoky cranberry type look. This shade as a liner across the lid I think looks so pretty, and you can use some of these mattes to really give like a blown out colorful kind of a smoky eye without going like too over the deep end. This is a really dark shade but not a black, so I think that keeps it from getting too dark too quick. I know it's intended for deeper skin tones, which I think is a cool concept on her part, but I do really like this one for my skin tone as well. And then the nude one looks like this, and I really like this shimmers that she picked out, especially this one. Like, it's like this pink to almost like a green type shade, and it just has this really like iridescent glowy quality, which I'm sure my lights will not capture because they're so bright right now. But I do think these are really pretty. These shades definitely work to like kind of blend out into the crease, but I tend to not use this one completely by itself because it needs a little bit more depth than what this palette offers me. So sometimes I'll use these 2 in tandem, sometimes I'll just pull in a random palette that has some deeper shades in matte to use with this, but I do think this one gives you some really pretty shimmers to build off of. My favorite Huda palette that I have at the moment would be the Mercury Retrograde palette. This one I actually picked up on the sale from last year because I had talked myself out of it for so long, and then I just heard so many people saying such kind and wonderful things about this palette that I decided ultimately that I needed to pick it up and try it, and and they were not wrong. This palette is stunning. The mattes in here work really beautifully. I love this shade and this shade here are kind of this more flaky, chunky topper type shade. If you've ever tried anything from like Copacetic Cosmetics where they have that kind of flaky texture, that's what those two shades remind me of. We've got some really pretty duochromes here. This shade is really vibrant and light on the lids. It's actually what I have, this whole palette is what I have on my eyes today. And I love how these kind of cool tones really set off the rest of the palette. So at first I was thinking this is more of a pastel palette, but I think you can really build some good depth with this one. I am very interested in picking up the new Rose Quartz palette, so I may do that during the sale, I'm not sure. But this one definitely would be a recommendation if you haven't already tried it. Now as far as toppers, I would recommend some of the Stila Shimmer and Glows. I just grabbed 3 kind of at random from my collection to talk about. She used to make some iridescent ones. If you ever find those at like TJ Maxx or something, I would definitely pick them up because they're really nice. But if I had to recommend just one shade for you, it would be Wanderlust. It's a pink to gold kind of duochromatic shade. The glitter in this one looks so, so pretty that if I could only recommend one shade to you, it would be this one for sure. But I think they're great for kind of topping over other eye looks or really just, you know, kind of stepping it up, making like a night out on the town kind of look. You can get a lot of like bang for your buck with these glitters. They do dry up quick though, so make sure the lid is secured when you use them. And then next I'll talk about Milk Cosmetics. I don't have a lot from Milk Cosmetics because I feel like it's always kind of risky to buy their stuff. Like it might be a great formula, it might be a bad formula, so I usually, like, I'm very interested in their products and then ultimately don't buy them, so it's kind of a weird situation. But I did pick up the Melt Cheese and Parties palette, and I do think this one is a very pretty, kind of cool toned smoky purple look, or a smoky purple vibe. This shade is the only thing in here that's kind of warm, and it's definitely like a kind of golden pink duochrome type shade. It's really nice as an inner corner highlight. I do like how dark and smoky you can make these looks with this deep matte over here. And you do have kind of this shade which can give you a little bit of brightness in terms of the reflecting of light off of your lid when you put it on your lid. So I think it's a good color story. I think it's nice and concise. It has good range, good depth. So definitely would recommend this one if you haven't tried it. Next, I would recommend the ABH Norvina palette if you're looking for like a big giant monstrous palette. I think this is volume 5. Yeah, this is volume 5. This is the purple one. And I think when volume 1 came out, I was very tempted to get it, but it wasn't quite perfect, so I waited, and I'm so glad I waited because this is like perfect for me. I love these kind of rosewoody browns in here. You've got some beautiful purples. Again, you've got some beautiful textures. You do have one pressed glitter in here, which I skip over, but not a big deal to me. This like white to gold iridescent type shade is very similar to the highlighter that they just put out, that like icy white highlighter. And then you've got some really great purple mattes in here to build a look around. I think it's a really cohesive palette, and if you're a fan of pinky purple shades like I am, you would get a lot of use out of a palette like this. So definitely a good recommendation. It is, I think, $60 originally though, so getting, you know, 10 to 20% off of that would be even better. And then lastly, I have a whole stack of Natasha Denona to try out, or to talk about. So this was actually a gift from a friend of mine, Emily. Hi Emily, if you're watching. And this is the Mini Gold palette. I love this like greeny gold iridescent shade in the center. I think it is so pretty, and these kind of like grungy olivey type shades. I think this really has a nice balance of like light and depth, and the shimmers that they used are really pretty. So I definitely like this one for sort of that like khaki army type look. So definitely a good one if you like those colors. The other one that I picked up recently and I haven't had a chance to use yet is the Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette. I do think this is a really pretty color story. I love these kind of like silvery greens, which you don't see very often, and then pinks, and then this one has so much texture in it that I'm just like, I can't wait to play with this one. So definitely something I look forward to playing more with, but a really, really nice option. And for $25, you get a chance to try out her formula without having to buy one of the bigger palettes. If you're into the bigger palettes though, there are several. I don't have any of the enormous palettes, the 129 palettes. I don't have any of those because they're expensive. But I do have some of the midi palettes. The first one that I ever picked up was the Natasha Denona Love palette. This is a gift from my husband as well. And it looks like this. I love the purples in here. I love this silvery shade because it's very cool toned, and I think it works so nice with this shade Commitment. The mattes the shimmers in here, I think they have a really nice like diverse range, and I love this kind of like duochrome shade that's like pinky purple. I think that looks really, really pretty. So I really like this. I love the pop of red in here so that you can really make it like a red toned look if you want to, but you don't necessarily have to. So I think this is a really pretty palette. Ooh, that's pretty. If you're thinking you like that kind of pinky purple vibe, but you don't want something so red, you want something a little more monochromatic, I would think about the new Natasha Denona Retro palette, the midi size. This one is definitely more like mauve toned purples. Again, very, very pretty. This shade in the center is like a knockout. It's such a beautiful, almost flaky kind of topper shade that I think looks great finishing off any of the looks. Makes a great inner corner highlight. You have a lot of their cream de matte formula in this palette, so if you don't like that formula, you may want to steer clear of this palette, but I do think it's a pretty formula for me. I like the way it blends out, so I really like the looks that I put together with this one. I did also pick up the bronze palette, which I haven't had a chance to use yet, but I do really like the color story of this one. This shade, which one is it? Bliss down here is like a red to green type duochrome, and I think that looks really pretty with some of these other like sunburnt type shades for mattes. So I'm really looking forward to playing with this more in the summertime to kind of get a better vibe of it. And I love this like super grungy red in here. I think that looks so pretty for fall. So a lot of great options in that palette as well if you are more inclined towards warm tone neutrals. If you like the cool tone neutrals, I would steer you more towards Natasha Denona Glam. This palette has some really pretty soft neutrals, and with this shade here, I hate the names in this palette. This lash line, inner corner lid, nobody cares. This shade here I think is a really pretty like shade to kind of build a look off of, get that really like depth, that impact off of that shade, and then you can build it out with any of these metallics here. I tend to gravitate more towards these three, these two, this one, this one. I don't use as much these shades because I feel like they're a little more warm toned, even though in general the whole palette's very cool. I definitely lean more towards these like pinky silvery type shades, and I think it comes across really pretty in an eye look. Very subtle, but very pretty. And then the last one to talk about from her is the Sunrise palette, which I picked up. It was actually discounted, and right now the Love palette and the Sunrise palette are discounted 50% off, so they're already $32.50, so if you can get an even better deal with them being on sale, all the better. But this is what this one looks like. You do have that nice mix of like warm tones, and then you have kind of these pinky orange shades here. This one definitely leans a little bit more cool. It's definitely that like pink to purple duochrome, which I think is really pretty. I love the colors that she's picked out for this one, so I definitely want to get some more use out of this one and play with that as well. Alright, and with that said, I think that is everything that I have currently in my collection that I would recommend to you for the Sephora VIB sale. You're going to have to let us know in the comments down below. Are you planning to shop the sale? If you are, what are you planning to pick up? And if you're not planning to shop the sale, what are you shopping in your stash instead? Because I always love to hear about that as well. Excuse you. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!